boss. It is Mr. Gayos James. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. Please, sir, what is the prospect of this course in the area of securing job? Thank you for asking such a question. I don't know if somebody among us would like to give him an answer first. He is asking if I can rephrase. Please, those of us that have the right of co-host, we can be checking those who get in so as to admit them, because it will be difficult for me to be checking all the time. So he's asking the question. His question is on the chat, but who want to give him answer in 4 minutes, because by 20 minutes after, we're going to start. Who's going to give him an answer?
Is this, I'm sorry, I have this little fly here. I cannot catch it. Is this the intention that the students reply to that? Because yes. there was an explanation already, were many explanations already in the trainings, but I know Mr. Gaius, he has network problems, so maybe he missed them. Can somebody of the students then try to answer these questions?
So I have the habit of designating, of choosing a volunteer. If I do not see volunteer, I always have the habit of choosing a volunteer. So I choose somebody definitely because of that. We have 3 more minutes. So if there is no volunteer at the 20 minutes after 6, we're going to kick off. So somebody is asking to repeat the question. The question is in the chat box. What is the prospect of this course in the area of securing job? Yes. In another way, how beneficial the course you are having will be to grab a job. Okay, we have many hands. So let me give opportunity to Mr. Ume. Good evening, sir. You can unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, class. It's nice to have everyone back from the weekend break. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. We are following you, sir.
Okay. I think this course is actually occupational safety and health. So, by the mere fact of the fact that there's occupational, that means that the practice is actually geared beyond the fact that it's for our personal safety. It's actually meant to be a workplace training, and it's a professional course. And for those of us that are working, it just helps to improve how we do our job. For those that are seeking for jobs, I think it also helps them to improve on their CV. It's a professional area, health and safety. Actually, it's a professional job. So the fact that it's occupational means that you can actually use it to get a job. So it's my belief that it can improve your CV by the skill set, additional skill sets that you'll be coming with. So you can actually be considered for some higher level of job, maybe safety supervisor, safety manager, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a possibility. It improves your skill set as it has to do with health and safety. So you can use it to get a job, especially now that so many jobs and so many organizations are coming to the realization of the need for safety so that they can reduce downtime, as I can call it again, loss of man hour, as well as payment for compensation that will come with fatality. So I think it's an area that is very useful for most organizations. Therefore, you can use it to get a job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You also have a very nice answer from the chat box. Now.
3, 2, 1, 0.
when we take our agenda for today, we are going to have course number 105. Course number 105 is entitled Implementation of Effective Health and Safety Standards. And it is a continuation of what we have learned, namely in course 103, that is Health and Safety Management System. It's also part of what we have learned so far, Health and Safety Culture. It's also part of what we have learned so far, Fire Safety and Fire Prevention. Now, all these things we have studied ago help us to see now what standards are there available. Please, those who have the rights.
I'm sorry, he was just coming in. That's why he wasn't muted yet, and it took me a while to be able to mute him. I'm sorry. Now you are muted too. I didn't do that.
Sorry. So I was saying that many of us have the right of co-host, so we can be regulating. So let us go back to the job of the day. Please permit me to share my screen. Hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
So as I was saying, we have course number. I'm privileged to be the presenter of today. So we have been together for almost 10 days or almost a week ago. I was coming as a facilitator to try to regulate things. Now the privilege come to me to dispense this unit that I love so much because it's part of what I do. My full name, as you can see from the screen, is Leonly Shepondosu. So don't mind the title and the degree. So most of you have more degree, big degree than I do. So by profession, I'm a quality auditor, especially in food and food technology and environmental science. Right now, I'm speaking from the National Agency of Standard, Normalization and Metrology and the Quality Control of Benin Republic. It's the equivalent of NAFDAC and SON in Nigeria and Ghana Standard Authority Agency in Nigeria and so many places. So here we deal about standard, certification, evaluation of conformity. Also, I am privileged to serve as an expert in information system, especially my specialty traceability by barcode technology. I was privileged to be the very first person that introduced barcode technology since I deal with food technology and environmental science. One part of the code byte helped to trace product, especially quality, to know where it comes from, who do it, and whatever, you know. So right now I'm quality and health and safety environmental trainer. So on this note, I stand before you as your trainer for tonight. So I am also privileged to be a member of EcoStan and also EcoStan is the ECOWAS standard organization. ECOWAS standard organization is all the country of ECOWAS. You know, I think we have 16 or 14 countries of ECOWAS. And also ARSO. ARSO is African Regional Standard Organization. So I'm privileged to serve in the technical team. We have different technical teams. So my side is a certification body, especially in agro-business technology. Also, I'm administrator of OSHA UK in Benin Republic, as you can see. So I try to arrange things as far as OSHAssociation is concerned. It's not easy, but we keep on pushing. So this is time to welcome you because our work in OSHA, as you already know, is to promote safety by saving life. We do it through series of instruction in-house and online training, such as this one. So throughout this study, you will be called to try to be involved because more you are involved, it will help you to understand. More you are involved, it will help you to listen, and so after the course, you can still retain all the things we discussed about here. To achieve such purpose, try to be yourself and feel free. Yes, feel free. You need to be relaxed, but be very focused. Do not allow background noise to distract you. Therefore, we urge everyone to mute our microphone so as to avoid disturbing others. Each time there is a scenario presented throughout the topic, try to picture yourself in a setting. The more you picture yourself in the setting, it helps you to assimilate the concept being described and it helps you to gain to know how you can apply when you are on your own. I said it before, asking questions is the best way to retain a fact that is being discussed. To ask questions, you need to write them down because if something is not written down, it helps your mind to wander, okay? Also, since we are going to have 2 hours course, please try to hydrate yourself. I have my bottle of water here, so I'll be drinking from time to time. You too try to do. It might be soft drink or water or even wine if you like for those who are in the home. Also, make body movement from time to time. Having said this, let us come back. This evening course is course 105, Implementation of Effective Health and Safety Standard. It is in your manual, but do not focus on our manual. Let us listen to each other. Okay. Now, 2 words give us attention here. The first word is effective. The second one is standard, because we have discussed a little bit about implementation so far. So effective and standard. When we say something is effective, it means the things always work. The things fulfill the purpose by which it has been designed. Now, standards, as we know, the standards that apply to safety in this context, we have 3 good standards. The first one is international standard, namely ISO 45000 series. That is ISO 45001 and other 44000. ISO 45001 is the international standard that governs occupational and health safety at work, safety and health in occupational area. So especially that ISO 45001 is applicable to all sectors of industry, being a small size, big size, or medium size, be a local one or international based. Every organization, a serious organization, should implement especially ISO 45001. We also have a sister standard, namely ISO 90001. ISO 90001 is a conformity standard. ISO 90001 is a standard of quality. Anything that is not for quality is lacking. Therefore, safety and health also require to be a good quality one. A system needs to be quality system. That's why ISO 19001 coming. You also have ISO 14000. 14000 is for environment because part of our activity also concerns environment. We don't want to damage environment. We want to keep our environment clean for the future generation. Even we too, we're gonna benefit when our environment is good and it contributes to our lifespan. This is the content of our manual. First, we want to see how to carry out risk assessment. Also, we want to check how a safe system of work should be. For this matter, you have some definition that will help us to know what to do, namely monitoring, to inspect. Maybe you'll be called one day to go and do such job, to monitor, to inspect, and to audit. What are the difference and the similarity? You know, we're going to see all this. Health surveillance should not be neglected. Health surveillance helps everyone to be in good form, and also it helps people to prevent illness and accident and ill reporting. You know, we are living in a world that even it is beyond reform and nothing is permanently sure. Things can happen the least expected. If they happen, what should be our attitude? We need to report them. Then how to carry out accident investigation. And finally, last but not the least, how do training, instruction, and information improve standard? So throughout our discussion, we'll be turning around those standards. And by the way, if you have to come across, or if your organization come across standard, please take standard seriously. Even we live by standard. Standard help us to improve our life. Standard help us to improve our workplace, and even around us, standard is unavoidable. So if you are appointed to standard, try to be involved. Those standard help us. By the way, standard is not compulsory, especially ISO standard are not compulsory, but still they have some technical regulation that are compulsory to everyone, especially every serious organization. So the first point is how to carry out risk assessment. When we talk of risk assessment, what does it mean? You need to understand that risk assessment stands for a careful examination of your work or a workplace. Also, it helps you to identify hazards and assess the risk from those hazards. Risk assessments have twofold. The first fold is to prevent accident and dangerous situation that might occur. It's the first fold. But also the second part is if those things occur, it helps to reduce the ill health from work activity. Since we are working, we will be subject to inconveniences. So risk assessment will help us to prevent and also to reduce. This assessment involves many things that we always do. For example, it helps us to identify the hazard in the workplace or what are associated to the activity. Then after you identify them, you're going to assess those risks involved. Assessing those risks involved, meaning that you need to take into account those people that are involved and the place that are involved, so the precaution you need to take to reduce all those things. You know, risk assessment is a criteria that help us to move step by step. To have a very good risk assessment, you need to adopt a step-by-step examination. If you fail to apply in one part, your risk assessment will not work well. If you ignore one aspect, it's not a complete risk assessment. And once you do not have a complete risk assessment system, once you do not have a complete risk assessment working, which means you are not doing anything. So risk assessment can be called as the root. Risk assessment is your root. Once you assess your risk, it will help you to know how to manage them. As I said earlier, you need to identify the hazard, you need to assess them. By assessing them, you need to evaluate how you're going to implement them. Is it working, or does it need to be modified? Does it need to be adjusted? Now, to be adjusted, you don't need to adjust it just by your own will. As I mentioned earlier, there are standards that help us to give that, calibrate what we need to do. So this enables the senior management team to identify the organizational health and safety priority. And once they know the priority, it helps them to make good use of the resources they have. If not, they will have the resources and have a bad management, and it will lead to a failure. Okay. As I was saying earlier, this assessment obeys to some principles. Once those principles are followed, everything works easily. And the first objective of this assessment, remember, is to prevent. And as a safety officer, manager, or supervisor, you are called to be preventive, I mean. Because remember, prevention is better than cure. Prevention saves us a lot of time, it saves us a lot of resources. So we need to have this preventive mind, whatever we are doing, okay? This involves to balance the benefit and risk. You can't know the benefit and the benefits you're going to receive and the risk you are incurring if you do not do a proper assessment. It is during those proper assessment that you check everything in the balance, right? This assessment should be designed to prevent ill health and injury, as I mentioned earlier, so that life is precious. Do not joke about life, even your own life. if you are somebody that is conscious of your own life, definitely you're gonna treat people's life in a very higher level. And standards are there to help us to improve the quality of life. It will also help us to concentrate on the significant risk from hazard. Throughout our courses, previous courses, you have seen the hierarchy of control of risk. All of it should be applied when you are assessing your risk. Okay, when you follow the hierarchy of control, that is that pyramid, always have in mind that you should do the best thing. Whenever it is called for elimination, make sure that you focus on elimination first. Do not jump from elimination and say, no, since we have PPE, no. Let us make good use of the principle in an effective way. Therefore, it will help us to concentrate on a significant risk from hazard that cannot be eliminated. Then you take the practical step to control. Sometimes it's very surprising to some people to hear that there should be zero accidents. Yes, there are some organizations that aim at zero accident, and throughout the year they work hard to achieve zero accident. If they can achieve zero accident, which means it is practical, we can do it everywhere because they follow the standard that I mentioned before. And when there is zero accident, imagine a lot of income that will be saved. And imagine the human resources that can be spared from damages. So, what is the responsibility for risk assessment? If you are responsible for carrying out risk assessment, you should know that you need to put everybody together. Everybody needs to be involved. That is the managers, the supervisor, the employer. Everybody should be involved. When everybody is involved, everybody can see clearly in the limelight of those standards I mentioned before. For example, the employer must make sure that the risk assessment is appropriate and it is carried out to fit the health and safety of all the employees that are exposed, but not only to the employee, but also even the general public that come in contact of their work. Risk assessment is lawful, even it is law enforced. Law recommends that risk assessment should be carried out in whatever company you are working. For example, according to the law, an employer with 5 or more employees must record his significant finding of the assessment. That assessment should be properly handled and it can be properly checked, as we see as we continue. Sometimes, as I say, it may sometimes be straightforward that it may not need any specialist skill or knowledge. But when it has to do with a bigger organization, bigger company, it's a little bit complex. Not complex, but it's a little bit technical. And not everybody can handle it except those who are trained with it. How far should a risk assessment be extended? Many people run away when it comes to risk assessment, but this is not the time to run away. Risk assessment is like umbrella that helps everybody to be covered. Though it is daunting at first, when followed through, it is a very simple, not ambiguous system, because they have been canonized by regulation. When we talk of regulation, it has to do with international law, namely standard. Now, apart from the international standard, you have what you call the national standard. You have a regional standard. Those standards are the ones that best suit the companies. Even we have what we call a inner standard. There are some organizations, they have their own standard. But no matter how the standard is, they always have a correlation from the national, because they need to abide to the national law. They are always in correlation with the regional standard, because since we live in the same community, I mentioned earlier ECOWAS standard or ARSO standard, African standard, you know, because depending on the location you find yourself, you need to take into account those standards as well. The finding of any assessment must be followed up by an action plan. That action plan must be designed to fit your organization. During our courses, somebody mentioned earlier that in the previous day, that people, they'll just go and copy. They just go and copy some policies and go and paste. And during the auditing, you notice that they have all those standards, all those assessments, but it is not fitting. It is not designed to improve their own condition. It is not a matter of copy and paste. Rather, it should be designed to improve the health and safety standard that you have in place. If you don't want to adopt or adapt from the international standard, but the best thing is always to adapt from international standard, since they are well designed by specialists, and also it covers various ranges. Here is a 5-step way to carry out a risk assessment. Yes, a 5-step way. From those 5-step way, the very first one is always identify. Identification of the hazard is very important, because you can't start beating around the bush. No, you must make sure that the hazard is clearly known to you. The hazard is clearly identified. The hazard is clearly discovered. Once the hazard is discovered, to whom is it hazardous? To whom it might cause damages? Then you decide who is likely to be harmed. And if you know who is likely to be harmed, always the second aspect is how. How is going to be harmful to them? How is going to be harmful to this particular type of person? And you need to decide how likely it's going to be. Then after identification, and you make sure that the harmful aspect is clearly known, the third step is to evaluate the risk by looking at the existing measure. Yes, you need to do what we call a counter expertise. You need to bring two of them together to see the existing measure do I have in my industry. Is it fitting? Is it fitting to resist, to reduce, or to prevent the risk or the hazard that I have identified earlier? You see, then if it is fitting, good. If it is not fitting, you need to decide if more control measures are needed. And most of the time, more control measures are needed, because as they pass by, they need to reform. They need to reformat the existing is always there, because we learn from yesterday's experience. You know, what happened to you yesterday consists as experience to help you to move forward. Then you will decide whether more control measures are needed. Once you go through this exercise, it is under obligation that you put them in writing. You need to record them. Everything you do, you need to record. Because if it is not recorded, your brain is not computer. Even computer also have a part that record all things that happen. You know, it has memory that record. So everything needs to be recorded. When we say it is recorded, it needs to be properly recorded. When everything is well stipulated and properly recorded, it can be easy for you to inform those who are involved with it. As they have been informed, it will help them to implement, because we cannot implement what we do not know. Therefore, you need to inform your workforce, not only the workforce, but everybody that turns around about what you have put in place. And once they come to be aware of it, it can be easy for them to implement them. When such steps have been carried out, as time passes by, it is necessary to review. Yes, we need to review. How often should we need to review it? Some might decide to say we need to review it yearly. Some will say we need to review it semi-yearly. or quarterly. But one thing is sure, you need to review them. These are the 5 steps that help us to carry on. Now, here is a general advice for carrying out a risk assessment, as we can see. For example, what you need to do, one and the easier way to walk around the workplace and have some observation of everything that is going on. But do not walk around as a policeman. No, do not walk around just to intimidate people. No, as you are walking around, have an observant eyes to everything that is being carried on. Once you do it, it will help you to know how you can assess your risk. That is the first aspect, to identify. Because if you do not observe, how can you identify? So you need to be a very good observant. But remember, not a policeman. You are not a policeman, but you need to observe in a very nice way. Because it will help you to get a feel of the extent of the assessment has been done. Okay. Also, you need to look at a simple activity first. That is, you start from the most easiest part. Once you start from the most easiest part, first of all, it helps you to make sure that you are doing your job correctly. And it helps those who are involved to know the importance of what you are doing. And that you are doing it gives you experience and confidence to carry on more daunting activity. But do not do it alone, because you are not, it's true, you might be an hero for a day, but you don't want to be an hero for all days. Even as I always said, Jesus Christ have come and saved the world for those who believe. But we are not a modern day Jesus Christ that to be saving people all the time. What I want to say by this, we need to involve people. We need to involve people that we are working around. Working as a team is always good. Involve employees as well as management team. Once you involve them, first of all, it lessens the workload for you, and also it inspires confidence in people that involve them. Also, you need to get advice. No one of us has been born with full knowledge. Even here, as we are doing this master class, I always use the proverb, iron sharpens iron. More we frequent ourselves, more we interact with ourselves, more knowledge we gain. That's why it's always good to not to be the only person that always follow a straight road. Always ask for advice, even if you are sure of what you are doing. Sometimes it's good to ask the viewpoint of those who involve you. Get advice. The person that refuses to get advice will fall down because of lack of advice, as African proverbs say. So particularly in your organization, always involve those who have technical ability. You know, one thing about government agency, especially in Africa, especially in Black African countries, because those in Maghreb, the Northern Africa, they have improved a lot in standardization. In Black African countries, there are some people who are qualified, but because of the position they are in the organization, people do not get them involved. The person might be at lower stage, or he have the technical ability. They will ignore him. Whereas when he was involved, it helped to make things improve. What I want to say by this is that get advice from those people, even if they are not at the same grade with you, and even you are their superior, but you notice that they have the ability and technical ability. Always get advice to get knowledge from them. It will help you to make things easy. Because carrying out risk assessment, as I said earlier, is a very simple way. But as time goes on, when the workforce is becoming bigger, it requires a lot of forces. Okay. Therefore, at the same time, you need to consider interruption to work as well as the activity, because interruption frequently leads to an accident. Yes, you need to consider interruption to work and to activity. That if any activity is being carried on, always try to let him go through. Do not go and disturb somebody that is really agile performing his work. Because you want to do risk assessment, you stop him from his work and you distract his mind. Later on, he will start. As I said earlier, by carrying out risk assessment throughout your working, you are not a gendarme. I mean, policeman. You are not a gendarme in the first place. you are not a policeman, and you are not also somebody that can be empowered to condemn. Therefore, from time to time, do not get attached to insignificant things. You can bring the attention upon it, but do not get too much attached to insignificant malpractice. Here is a sample risk assessment of this one is typically from those who do network, computer work. For example, it's applicable for a database. Applicable for that. For example, in my office, I have the database of all the company that come to require our services and continue requiring our services. Now, to have a good monitoring, that database has to be locked. So I have the password. Then, if I want to do risk assessment, or if somebody else come to do risk assessment to me to see how effective it is, so this risk assessment example has been designed. For example, I will not mention everything because we are not too much familiar with. For example, he will check the observation. User password can be guessed or cracked quickly or easily. Remember that sometimes when you are doing online or when you want to download some app, it's going to ask you a question that for your username or password, you need to use an alphanumeric character. Even sometimes to tell you if it is strong or weak or very strong. If hackers cannot quickly guess, many people have lost their data and have lost their confidential information simply because the system can be very poor, even miserable. That's why people quickly crack down the password and get through to have access to information, especially the hackers. Even there are some banks also that are vulnerable. That's why every year there are some banks that hire hackers. There are some banks that hire hackers to protect the system. It might seem very funny, but this is the practice. They will hire some hackers to come and help them to prevent some system. Even in, if I can remember, almost 2 to 3 months ago, there is a big scenario that scattered in South Africa, whereby a company of Bitcoin, somebody hack and completely rob all the, it is estimated to billions of US dollars. But later the person come back, he said that he's going to reimburse everything for them. But he used a word, he said he just want to test run the system. And sadly, the system was not strong enough. But this is not our job, it's just a parenthesis. We have some legislation that back up risk assessment, even that make up risk assessment to be important. It makes risk assessment to be mandatory. For example, we have the, according to the 1999 Act, every company should carry out a general risk assessment. Every company, this time is no longer the size. It might be 2, it might be 3, it might be 5 workers, it might be 100 or 200. Every company are under obligation to carry out a risk assessment. Okay. You may also need to undertake separate specific risk assessment, especially for big companies that have different departments. Each department need to have a specific, each department need to have their specific risk assessment. Nevertheless, the overall risk assessment also should be there as it is stipulated by law. For example, you have the hazardous substances, the manual handling, display screening equipment. All these notions will come across them, especially in units 106, how to handle specific risk in workplace. We're going to cross about it. So let's move on. You also have the Health and Safety Display Screen Equipment Regulation 1992, but it has been improved. And do not forget that in every country we have the national standard that need to be applied. So most of these standards are international standards from which we can adapt or adopt them according to our management team. So let us have a quick example. A quick example we have here is ladder in a shop. Ladder in a shop can help us to do many things. For example, the first user, the common user, to retrieve goods from a height, or maybe to change light units and erecting display material. It's really useful. Now, what is the hazard associated? We want to identify the hazard. We are doing a risk assessment. The hazard is that a staff member may try to use the ladder for the purpose stated above, probably to retrieve goods from a height or to change the light unit or maybe to erect material. So once the staff member climbs on it, it might fall. The hazard is falling, and those materials also may fall and hit someone else. So we see that many people are involved, or somebody bumping into the tripping over the foot of ladder. So this is the hazard identified. Then who is at risk? Though the statement mentioned clearly. You have the person himself, the employee, the member of the public, or even visitors that are involved. And once we discover who is involved, how can we control it? Is there a measure, control measure to help us? Yes, in this particular case, we have an exiting measure. That is, those ladders are provided with security hook to stabilize the top of the ladder against the storage act. At least this is a control measure. Then, what can we do again? We can propose. And what we can propose that we bring additional control measure is to set up a ladder register. Sadly enough, there are many companies that do not have a ladder register. So you need to set up a ladder register to ensure that the shift supervisor always monitor or inspect ladder every week and record anything he found. Yes. Or again, if you want to do the other way, that is changing the light unit, the light bulb unit. The existing ladder steps have stabilizer and well to help us to change that bulb, that light unit. But still, there is no guardrail. And if there is no guardrail, it's dangerous. You see, no guardrail is provided with the step ladder. So then we need to bring in control measure. Those control measures can easily be maybe try to find some bound to make it very strong, and a member of staff should warn how to use that particular ladder. Okay, if any member or a public that want to pass through there should be informed through sign. Be very careful to be aware. But also, you need to set up a ladder register, so that when the supervisor comes to do every shift, you need to check them to see if everything is on check. Once he found everything recorded, he should put them well documented. Record is always good, because if there is no record, imagine a lot of accidents that will be happening. Imagine a lot of risk many people are incurring. So to retain the information in a risk assessment register and keep them together with the organization health and safety policies. Whatever record you made, it needs to be compact, maybe manually or in electronic format, but they need to be kept together with important documents, especially the safety policies. As time goes on, you need to review them. As I said earlier, it might be annually, semi-annually, quarterly, or some review them according to the work they do. They review every month. Now, we want to come to the subheading, a safe system of work. A safe system of work is a set of procedures that help the staff to carry out tasks safely. Now, from where do they have such procedure? Where are they going to carve out such procedure? It's always dangerous to go and copy and paste copy and paste from another organization. No, this is not the procedure. The procedure is that you make good use of those standards, namely ISO 45001, ISO 19001, and ISO 40000 series. You know, with those standards, it helps you clear to fit what your organization deserves, what your organization needs. So those set of procedures will help you to carry your task safely, because the task you are carrying out is completely different from the organization from which you want to carve, you want to copy and paste. You are not doing the same thing. Even if you are doing the same thing, maybe you are not in the same terrain. And if at all you are in the same terrain, you are not with the same effective that workforce. It is the main tool to implement a safe working practice. Notice the expression, it is the main tool for implementing safe working practice. When they are carved out from those standards, because those standards are reliable. It may also be your national standard, because your national standard have been carved out by specially those who are ability to do it. So when you apply it to your organization, it really fits in. So it becomes the main tool to help you to work, to organize your work processes. Especially managers, supervisors, and those who have been trained, namely safety officers, are likely to participate in drawing. This is once again the importance of not ignoring people who have the ability to participate. Remember that as manager, supervisor, and safety officer, among whom you are, you have been trained, you have been given training. This is a typical example of such training. When you go back to your organization, you will be invited to participate in drawing together with all those standards as I mentioned earlier. Once you are involved, it helps you to see things with a safety eyes. But if you abandon it only to the management, remember that the CEO or the GMD might not be somebody that comes from a safety and health arena. And he may call on somebody else also that will carve it. But when you are involved, you have been trained for it, then it will help you to design or to draw a very safe system. One among those systems is permit to work system, isolation and lock-off system, safe work instruction. During the course when I was preparing this assignment, I passed through some permit to work that I tried to carve out, but they are numerous. Maybe after, I did not include them in the presentation. Later on, I will send them. It's almost 10 to 15 pages. Permit to work for various systems. You know, we also have safe work instruction. If instructions are not clear, there is a statement that said that if the trumpet does not sound clear and loudly, who is going to volunteer for war? If the trumpet sound is dull, nobody will embrace the war, nobody will work. So the same statement also goes, if the safe work system is not clear, your work will never be safe. We also have vehicle management plan and safe work method statement. We continue. The service objective is to develop safe system of work with the first step. The first step is always the risk assessment. Once this has been done, the safe system of work should be documented. Remember again, the word documentation coming. Once you document something, it will have a very solid basis, and it may likely include information about who is authorized to do a particular work. Remember when we were doing fire safety, Flynn bring a scenario that he asked a question, who is the warden, that is the person that's going to announce that please go to master point. And this one say, I thought he did it. The other one say, no, I thought he did it. So everybody starts saying he thought, because nobody has been designated on a fixed basis. So among the information is going to continue is that information about who is the responsible, who is authorized to do what. If everybody knows what they are authorized to do, the matter is solved. Then detailed information about the hazard and the associated risk should be also penning down. Then if you have the detail of hazard associated, the precaution also need to be taken.
We're so glad, we're so grateful you're okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. God bless you, sir. God bless you, ma'am.
So as God is blessing them, we will also continue blessing ourselves here with our instruction. So please always remember that instruction about any personal protective equipment to be worn also should be included. Now remember, as Engineer Hafiz taught us, the protective equipment should be appropriate. It should be appropriate. We learn all victims to be effective. So it's not any type of PPE. It should be appropriate PPE. So always remember to put the PPE to be worn. Okay. Then clear instruction about how to carry out the task should be put on. Then in case of emergency, you need to know which route to follow. So emergency procedure also need to be included. When a draft document is completed and the safe system of work should be reviewed by who? By those who have the ability, namely you. When I say you, because you are running supervisor course, you are running managerial course, you are running officer course. In fact, you have been safety practices trained, you have been trained in safety practices. So when all victims will be drafted and completed, all of you need to review. Now you review with your eyes of a real technician. You review with a technical lens. You review with your technical lens. Everybody put your hand together to review. Because if it fails to be effective, all of you are going to suffer the aftermath of it. If it is not appropriate, you're going to suffer the setback. When I say you're going to suffer the setback, that is your organization. When your organization suffer the setback, they will point finger on you. They will say, but you are the safety supervisor, you are the manager, safety manager. What have you done? There to be shame on you. But none of us would like to have shame on him because we want to be a diligent worker in our work. Safe system of work also must be communicated to staff. Yes, all the documentation you have and everything has been compiled properly, safely. Who is going to apply them? Is the staff. And if the staff is going to apply them, they need to be aware of it. They need to be the content. It's not a sacred book. It's not like the holy book that is that the priest will say or the imam will say, only him have the authority to know the content and be dispensed to others. No, this is not. Though it is a shared document, but everybody needs to be communicated the content. So all the staff must be aware of the content. Ideally, the system should be explained face to face. If you have fewer workers, call them during a meeting to explain it to them, especially those who are involved. You have a face-to-face discussion. You have a face-to-face explanation and understanding. Okay. Now, if it is on site, while you are taking a walk through with him, you'll be explaining things to him. Then this is also effective. Or other people choose to do it right at the toolbox or on job briefing. But whatever the situation may be, let them be acquainted with what you have drafted. I mean, not you as a single person, but you as the safety team, what you have drafted and how beneficial is going to be with them. Sometimes a written copy of those systems should be readily made available for reference. You know, when we talk with reference, we are talking with authority. Nobody can challenge us. Because even if the person always has some personality clashes with you, and you are talking and your talk is backed up with references, you win over. Even not only you win over, you impose yourself, you show yourself as authority because a power has been handed over to you. You have been empowered. You have been bestowed a power to talk. So when you are talking with references, it's no longer you that is talking about the truth that have been said. So those references should be made available. It's not close it. We have an expression that is the shubla. Shubla is a drawer. You know, when we say I shublatize you, is I abandon you under the drawer. A Dutch or a German, else we know better than me. I think it's a Dutch or a German expression. Shubla is a drawer. When you put something in a drawer and you forget it, you should not be okay. Sometimes a safe system of work could be displayed on a notice board or on a pieces of machinery so that it can be easily in contact. Sometimes if you have contractors that come from outside, as we discussed in post 103, contractors that come to work for you, it should be easily accessible to them. So there must be a liaison with the contractor and those workers so that everybody work according to the draft. Permit me to drink a bit water. So we continue. Hope you are following. Hello?
Yes, we are.
Hi.
Okay, thanks for following.
I missed what you said about the drawer.
Yeah, the shubla.
Expressions?
Yeah, a shubla. I was making reference to a Dutch expression or a German expression.
I don't think it's a Dutch expression, although
okay,
we also
it is a German expression.
Say something like
yes,
got
it
lost
is a German
in the drawer.
expression. I'm sorry,
and
the German,
also
you know
that there are what are the
it is German.
that
you know,
birds in the closet.
Yeah, you know, in Switzerland they speak German, isn't it also? Yeah, it's a German expression. Shubla is a drawer. I remember one of my instructors when in Geneva make a good illustration about the two aspects of drawer. That is shubla. When they use the expression shublatizer, that is the things have been kept in drawer with a positive purpose. That is shublatizer. But when they say shublatize, that is the same expression but pronounced differently. Shublatize, that it has been abandoned in a drawer with a negative purpose. But we want to shublatize, we want to keep it with a good purpose. So this is what I will try to bring out. So it's a German expression. So implementation of safe system of work. So this is what I just covered quickly. Permit to work, as I said earlier, permit to work is very simple, as you can see from the screen. A permit to work is a formal document that specifies the work that has been designed or the work is related for the person that's going to handle that particular job and the precaution the person was taking. For example, we have this is the permit to work, we have the comments applied by the date. So the person, the person going to work should be well stated. The person, the job holder that are going to perform it should be well stated. The precaution he needs to take also should be well stated. Because this permit to work authorize the individual, if it is you, namely if it is, let's say, engineer, if it is Olasimbo, again, we're going to mention his name. If it is Mr. Ume, his name should be there. Or if it is, if I did not call on your name. Okay, so your name should be stated, and it permits you to carry out a specific task in a different moment and area. Okay. For example, those who power equipment such as a chainsaw, the permit to work document I was referring to, we have a confined space to work at here. We have a lot of almost 50. So later on, I will send it separate to this slide. Permit to work should be written, as we always say. They should identify the level of competence and any specialist skill of all individual issued with the permit. Those details are important because it helps us to review, it helps us during the course of training, it helps us to know who to assign a particular job quickly. There should list isolation and pre-work precaution, a prohibited activity, and it should be communicated to others as necessary. The planned equipment require any person. Yes, PPE always come in, because once you are performing any work, you need to wear appropriate PPE. And also you need to mention the sequence of work to be undertaken should be stated together with hazard identified. So a permit to work is simply what you have discovered, what you have discussed so far. All of them should be clearly known and clearly stated. Monitoring, inspecting, and auditing. These three words, these three terms work hand in hand, though they aim for the same purpose, or they do not carry out the same meaning. It helps to identify and collect the right information and use them to the best effect. Monitoring, inspection, and auditing consider the factor responsible for causing accident and ill health in the workplace. Yes, they are focused on a factor responsible of causing accident. That is dig the matter from the root. Looking at the human organization and the environmental factor in the workplace and work activity, the root cause of injury and illness can be identified. And the method that helps us to identify them is through monitoring, inspecting, and auditing. Also, so that the hazard can be eliminated or control applied to reduce the risk and accident. So let's see, first of all, the monitoring. Monitoring can be done in two ways, either active or reactive. Now, these terms should remember us, bring to our mind what we need to be, the type of person we need to be as a safety officer, manager, or supervisor. We need to be proactive. We always need to be proactive, not reactive. So we talk of active monitoring when it involves keeping an eye of what is going on and help to deal with the problem as they arise. So the active monitoring always has a beaming eye to everything that is happening. Then, as it has a beaming eye on matter going on, anything arrives, it can quickly deal with it. But when it is active, it includes methods such as safety inspection, tour, or workplace and survey. And this is the commonly used of monitoring. When it is reactive, the report comes from elsewhere. It's through a reporting and an investigation of accident. This may be related to people, process, property, or any combination of this. It's also about keeping and analyzing record. While active monitoring keep a beaming eye on watching things, reactive monitoring is far extended from a report or from an investigation. Then it starts to carry out the processes, or it might be a combination of this. It's also about keeping and analyzing record so as to see how things are moving on. We have an example of training record. We use a reactive monitoring when during the training and we are putting record, or maybe a power and equipment maintenance and accident investigation, sickness and absence reports. Inspection. Inspection is a little bit different from monitoring. The process of inspection is more thorough and more formal than the routine check that employee do. For example, employee that want to make use of a ladder, for example, or a chainsaw, or any equipment, every day check the condition of it. But inspection is beyond that. And inspection is a statement of the health and safety performance of a workplace, which enable any necessary remedial measure to be taken. So inspection is to constat, to make a constat, yes, to have a, not a constat, this is not the word, I'm trying to find the word. Inspection is like when you see, you own it. Yes, you see this, when you see it, you own it. Once you see it, it helps you to take a necessary remedial measure to back up, okay? Then those who have to carry out inspection should be a person that have the ability, the technical ability. For, as a matter of fact, we call it a competent person that is competent. And remember, none of us is being born as a competent person. None of us start working the first day as a competent person. We need to be trained. So when a competent person has been trained for it, he can carry out inspection very easily. He should be familiar with the workplaces and the health and safety practices. Now, sometimes if the inspector is not from the workplace, so which means he must be somebody that has a lot of experience of that particular work. It might come from outside, but he must be experienced in that particular, so that when he comes, you know, have a proper look of the system in place. It is always good to practice inspection every 6 months, or not only 6 months, it might be quarterly if your organization decides that it is quarterly. But it's not proper that it is over a prolonged period before an inspection is done. Because if you leave the time pass a lot lapse of time, it may be disadvantageous to the company. So every 6 months or quarterly, depending on the size of your organization. Remember, as we said earlier, we have some organizations that have a different department. So it will require that quarterly or bi-monthly. The code of the inspection should be kept for at least 3 good years. 3 good years. Nothing should be destroyed before 3 good years. Even after 3 good years, some people decide to keep it in a safe place for future use. Health and safety management inspection may include things like checking the safety policy if it is updated, checking if the safety policy is up to date. This brings us back to the idea we said before that, okay, after the, even in a accident-free day, system need to be checked and re-evaluated to be up to date, because the standard we lived by yesterday might not necessarily be the same standard we want to apply today. So therefore, the safety policy should need to be up to date. Also, you need to check that safety committee minutes are available. Each time safety committee have a minute, they need to put a record down, and that record should be available for consultation. Any accident or ill health record also need to be available. Training record should be up to date, first aid facilities, so on and so forth. Everything that a standard requires should need to be up to date according to legal standard. Legal standard here refers to the organizational standard, or it might be the national standard, the regional standard, or the international standard the organization adapts. Okay. Means of escape are clearly marked and visible. Means of escape are clearly marked and visible so as to reduce or prevent frauds. Detectors are tested and record kept. Control of substances hazardous to help. Record of assessment and safety data sheet also. And during the training, sorry to come back, during the training, emphasis should be laid on those who are being trained to become a competent person to carry out inspection. So emphasis should be laid on this aspect. Now, finally, we come to an audit. Audit, or the auditor we used to call. Today, many people bear the name auditor without knowing even the basic principle of audit. Yeah, here is really common. We see people that self-proclaim themselves auditor, but they lack the basic. Please try to be, do not be like them. Do not carry only the name as auditor. An audit is a systematic, detailed assessment of the health and safety management system. For proper audit, it involves collecting information on the efficiency, effectiveness, and the reliability of the health and safety management system. Then you measure it against a fixed standard. That is, you collect those information, you collect how efficient, how effective they have been within your health and safety management system. Then you test run them with a fixed standard. When we say a fixed standard, it should be a proper standard. That's why we always refer to local standard or national standard, or if not, regional or international standard. It goes deeper into operation on the health and safety management system than monitoring or inspection. So in the cycle, audit is carry weight. Audit carry weight. Okay. For example, if you want to audit a health surveillance system, an audit will try to find out whether all employees exposed to risk are included in a health surveillance program. No discrimination. It's not because this one comes today that he will not be included. No, everybody. So a good auditor should be able to have answers to this. And each time, if any answer is no, things need to be done. Also, he needs to check if people operating the health and surveillance system are competent to do so. If they are not competent, things need to be corrected. A proper record also needs to be kept. Also, the person responsible for health and safety in the workplace has seen a record, system record. Record have been made to follow, record have been made to consult. So the person responsible for health and safety in the workplace must see those system records. Okay. But there is a nuance, there is a particular point where we will see it when we are in health surveillance. Auditing the health and safety management system helps to establish whether appropriate management arrangements are in place. If it is in place, he commends them. The auditor commends them, and by laying emphasis all the good things they have done. But if it is not in place, make a recommendation. Make a recommendation and proper measure of it. It helps you to change and improve throughout the whole system. So auditors' role are really important and immense. That's why auditors should be people of integrity keeper. There should not be people that try to use a pencil to pass over a brush, to pass pens over mistake. No, there should to be integrity keeper. Even if the people involved are their friends, you know. So there need to be people that keep integrity. The aim of audit is to evaluate the ability of the organization manager to produce and implement a health and safety policies to control health and safety risks. Then communication and consultation should also be involved among all the employees. The employee must be aware of the result of the audit. It will be very sad and very unfair that audit is carried on and only the top management is aware of the result of it. No. Communication matters will come to the light to all the employees that are involved. They should be aware of it, and also the statement also should be consulted. Training system and competence of employees, as I said earlier, health and safety risk control system. health and safety measure and procedure, the performance of management system. Now, to evaluate the performance for management system, we have what we call a performance indicator, and we have color for them. If it is red, it means it's very poor, so immediate action should be taken. If it is yellow, it is middle. If it is green, like a green light, so it means that it is really good. So then those performance indicators help you to know if you are achieving your goal according to your management system. Monitoring and inspection of arrangement, accident recording and investigation system. We have an example here. Example of difference between an inspection and audit, as I said earlier. So the inspection is, throughout his inspection, he noticed that a light bulb is missing. As inspector, we recommend an action to replace the bulb. But when auditor comes, auditor will notice that light bulb is missing, then he will start asking questions. Is there inadequate lighting? That he wants to go to the root of the matter. Is there a system to assess lighting level? Why has it not been followed? You see, those questions deserve a clear answers, and those clear answers lead to the roots of phenomenon discovered and action. You need to determine the root cause and put in place a system by which light bulbs should be replaced when broken, or lighting is inspected regularly so that lighting will be adequate all the time. So this is just an example. We can have various examples as well. Now let's talk about the few subheading. Health surveillance. Health surveillance is really important in any organization. Health surveillance is the systematic monitoring of the health of any worker who may be exposed to harmful substances or harmful work activity. In many organizations, they emphasize that their health surveillance should be active in promoting safety and health, because employees leave their home safe, employees leave their home sound, employees leave their home, looking for the word, safe, sound, and healthy. Now they come to the workforce to perform a work. It won't be unfair that throughout their workplace, they contract illness and return home with a poor health. No. So organizations should be active in promoting health and safety of their employees by taking preventive precaution, because prevention is better than care. As a matter of fact, the program of health surveillance should be well elaborated, and it should be suited to deal with any hazardous substances, namely radiation and other causes. The purpose of surveillance is to identify adverse health effects or inadequate or even poor health safety control. It helps to monitor the health of employees and also to protect them from harm, as I said earlier. But in this case, you need to respect, also you need to cherish. You will not be somebody that's you need to respect the privacy. You need to respect the intimacy of the workers. You don't need to be, for example, if a particular person have a particular problem, it's only those responsible for health surveillance should be aware, as far as it does not damage the reputation of the organization. This one quickly remind me, last year, November or December like that, we have a case of COVID-19. Somebody contract COVID-19 in our company, or not this side, at the other side. So the way they handle the situation is really bad and it leads to embarrassment. No, it's not last year, it was 2020, ending of 2020 when COVID-19 is still serious. But I'm not saying that COVID-19 is no longer serious. Please take appropriate measures to protect yourself. So the way they handled the case was not very good at all. It led to embarrassment, even a shame to that particular worker that contracted COVID-19. And they forget that COVID-19 can be cured or can be treated efficiently. So the point I want to bring it here is that the aim of health surveillance is to protect individual privacy. They should put them in consideration, not to by saying negative things about them. We have two types. First, the medical health screening and environmental monitoring. Also, we have the medical health screening and environmental monitoring. The medical health screening shows early detection of a specific work-related illness. Okay, so it enables the employer to prevent ill health and at the same time to evaluate the need to change or to reduce the risk of such disease, the person that has such disease. We have various techniques to help to screen, such as the biological monitoring or testing of employees for harmful substances in the body. Eyesight tests and hearing tests also are really important. In some cases, they go for X-ray tests, but to go for this technique, you need to have in place a good technical plateau. You need to have a good technical plateau, a good technical equipment, so that you might not jeopardize the life of your employer. As far as the environmental monitoring is concerned, it helps to determine whether the work environment is safe and healthy for the workers. For example, somebody that suffers for an asthmatic, and you ask him to go to a field in the cold weather, is not proper because the environment is not conducive for him. Environmental monitoring can assist a health surveillance system by linking environmental results to medical results so as to follow through. For example, here we have the measurement of harmful substance in the air or use of noise dosimeter. Okay. Now, this leads to a very important question. Are all the organizations obligated to introduce health surveillance? Is there an obligation for everyone to have a health surveillance in their workplace? Well, as you'll be brainstorming such answer. So you need to know that there is health surveillance is really important, and it should be introduced when this situation arises. First, when there is an identifiable disease or adverse health condition related to the work, or when there is a reasonable likelihood that the disease or condition may occur under the particular condition at work, and also, but not the least, have legal obligation in some circumstances when substance hazardous for health or radiation are involved. Therefore, it is really important to introduce health surveillance in every company. When to monitor employees' health, when to monitor an employee health. First of all employees deserve to be monitored as long as they are working in a company. Health surveillance can be first at the very first day when you are recruiting them. Once you recruit them and they are qualified, or even in the process of the recruitment, you need to to monitor the health. You need to have a health surveillance with them. Yes, it's really important. Now, when the person is in, before he carry out a particular job that jeopardize his health, that may jeopardize his health, you need to monitor his health as well. There must be a health surveillance. It can also be done during work involving a risk to health, or after the person has been exposed to a hazardous situation. Information from monitoring health can be set as a baseline for later comparison when the result of surveillance carried out over a long period. This helps the health surveillance officer to bring a suggestion if they can shift someone from a particular job or not. The surveillance after exposure has stopped it useful to detect long-term illness, or when this can help to detect the disease at an early stage so that it should not occur, or appropriate treatment can be given. It's not when the person is at the final stage of death, or if it's at the final stage of the illness that you start running up and down. So health surveillance monitor is really important in all these situations. So we have a scenario here of probably maybe at the recruitment or when they want to carry out a particular job. But a caution needs to be taken. Yes, a caution needs to be taken. Information obtained from the program or after monitoring a personnel, those information, as I said earlier, need to remain confidential. It needs to be confidential as long as it is not extreme. As long as it is not extreme. Because we are living in a world that where nobody is 100% physically perfect. You know, we have some illness, that we need to go about. But as long as it is not something serious, it should remain confidential. Okay, to remain confidential. There should be a system of a quick referral for medical advice and treatment in the event that the adverse event is detected. All these things need to be done in a dignified manner, not in a way that I referred before when they embarrass someone simply because the person have COVID-19. The next subheading is accident and ill health reporting. Accident occurred, as we all know. When accident occurred, it needs to be reported. It needs to be reported. Why? Recording and reporting accident or ill health and dangerous occurrence can help the organization to reduce accident and illness in their own workplace. Because if you do not have the habit of recording it, you won't know how you progress. Therefore, there should be an effective system for reporting and investigating accident and ill health in all organizations. Some, because they want to show a good face of their company, they hide a lot of accidents that occur within themselves, so that even it make a biased statistic, it make a bias or a statistic that is not reliable statistic for the whole country, because every year these companies are required to provide statistics so that they can have a strong database of those statistics. So there should be an effective system for reporting and investigating accident and ill health. Because the principal objective for the system should be, first, to enable prompt remedial actions to be taken to correct, to talk of corrective measures. Also, to prevent similar occurrence in the future. Then it will make sure that it is in in harmony with legislation. As I said earlier, in some countries, all companies are required to report the statistic of accidents and injuries so that from there they can have a national statistic. For example, while we were having a fire safety, you remember that Mr. Phil, he gave us some statistics in the UK about fire incidents. So accident recording is really important. Comply with the company instruction, usually in the health and safety policies, to detect trend or to assist decision-making, planning of resources and allocation. So we need to move forward. Failure to report and to record, and we know what it can mean when we fail to report and to record. Many accidents will keep on happening, and it will lead to bad image of your company. A failure to report accident or even can starve the organization of an essential source of information, which could be used to shape and change the work, as I said earlier. Then, which means you are not faithful to yourself. That is, you are not faithful to your organization. Therefore, many employees will be reluctant to report what happened to them because of a number of reasons. So it is not a good habit to fail to report. Even if it is a minor, you must always report so that it can be recorded. So we move on. Major injuries. Major injuries should be reported at all costs. Major injuries should be recorded at all costs because an injury resulting from an electric shock, for example, or electric burn, needs to be recorded. If there is an amputation, it needs to be recorded, or any injury that requires resuscitation. In fact, all injuries are supposed to be recorded, but some to record the major injury. Over 3-day injuries or dangerous occurrence or disease, they need to be recorded. When inspector come, as we said earlier, they should be able to check on the record you have about accident. It should be available for them to go through. Okay, those record injury or dangerous condition must be kept also within 3 years. It will be available within 3 years, and within 3 years there will be a general inspection as well. They should include the information such as the name of the person who was injured, the date and time, the accident or the injury that occurred, the location and people that are involved, the activity and the equipment. Everything needs to be put in place. Then what has been done and how, that is how the situation has been managed, to be recorded. So when to carry out an accident investigation. Well, accident investigation also need to be carried in an effective way. Failure to do that, things will continue being wrong every time, which is not good. An accident investigation is an opportunity to find out what happened and to introduce changes so as to prevent future or similar accidents to happen. A detailed such an investigation or a near-miss, such investigation of accident or a near-miss should be carried out as soon as possible so as to bring a corrective measure to prevent future similar cases to happen. While making such accident investigation, you need to establish this fact, the sequence of events leading to the accident. Must have an answer to the sequence of events leading to the accident. I mean the cause of it, okay? The unsafe act or condition. And I said earlier, the cause of it. Organizations should investigate all incidents as the information gained can help to protect employees and others. As I said earlier also, data obtained in the investigation can be used to develop a safe system of work. And to obtain those data, you need to be faithful, you need to be truthful by reporting your accident. When the inspector come annually, they collect, they gather all those data, and those data make up of regional data, and from regional data, make up of national data, so as to help to develop a safe system of work. So year after year, since all those data are available, it helps to improve those systems. So we move on. Who should be involved? When an accident occurs, investigation should be included, or while doing your investigation, everybody should be involved. When I mean everybody, is people that have ability, namely the safety officer, the safety advisor, a safety representative, the manager, all safety personnel. Employees who are involved in an accident or the eyewitness also. Sometimes they feel shy to explain, they feel shy to give testimony because probably they are fearing they're fearing to be blamed. Okay. It also includes the safety representative or employee safety investigation team, so as to give employee the confidence to cooperate fully. However, is involved in the investigation, those who are involved in investigation should be competent to do the work. It's not just to go and write something that I've seen him get injury here. No, we saw a damage car. No, it's not like that. The person should be investigated. Remember earlier we said that he needs to establish 3 facts: the cause route, the person involved, and the sequence that lead to the event. Also, the possibility to explore the cause and questioning the people involved is good. Once again, it is said that we need to avoid bias, because when we give a bias statement, the whole system also will be biased. It will not be effective. Even sometimes it will be poor. It will not be efficient, because simply somebody gives a biased detail. And most of the time, those people who give a biased detail, they avoid to be under blame. They avoid to be under penalty. Okay. By reporting, you gain respect and confidence. You also need to recognize the significance of all the likely contributing factors. People from outside the organization may also want to investigate the accident. For example, a health and safety inspector or an environmental healthcare officer, if it is a major accident. I think a month ago, there was a major accident in Ghana whereby a gazoduct blast and killed a lot of people. You know, people from outside can come to the site to investigate. Not only the company alone, but inspector of environmental health officer also may come to investigate. If a civil claim for compensation is made against the organization, the company insurer will also need to carry out their own inquiry. So this brings to mind a question that was debated and handed over: if an insurance policy is needed. Yes, of course it's needed. So thank you for all of you that contributed to that particular question that time. Investigation accident, by doing this, you need to gather the information, analyzing the information, what happened, why at every stage. You need to identify the suitable risk control measure and also the action plan that is required according to the standard that you are following. Now we are coming to the last subheading. This subheading is the really important one and the most beneficial. How doing training instruction, information, improve standard. Dear members, each time you have opportunity to attend any training, never look down upon the training, because those training will serve as a valuable help to you in the future, in the near future. Training is an essential part of health and safety management and control, because it prepares the employee to carry out his task. It prepares them to know what to do when they face the situation. Through the means of information, instruction, and practice, it helps them to enhance their ability and skill to face with danger. It broadens their knowledge and their competence. So never take training lightly. There are some people, they have habits of missing training by giving flinging excuses. Please, let it not be your case. Even if you have passed such a training before and they call upon you, find this as a privilege, as an opportunity. Always take training as very serious. I don't joke with training. Sometimes in our company, if they map out a training and I did not see my name, sometimes I will say, why? Even some, they will say, no, you can pass us stay. I say, no. I don't like the expression when they say, you can pass us stay, you are Ghana, you can. I say, no. Sometimes when I hear about some training, even though they did not call me, I'll carry my kids and go there. I'll say, okay, please do not count me among the people that will have the allowances or whatever thing that is reserved. But I go by myself. Training is really important. Training is effective in reducing the likelihood of injury because employees are made aware of the hazard, risk, and control measures they need to take. A good trained employee will become tomorrow's expert. Yes, a good trained employee will become tomorrow's expert. And now, if the training has been done well, tomorrow when he wants to train somebody else, also he will do a good training. So please do not minimize training. Training makes employees fewer mistakes and they often do a better job. Therefore, let us always value our training. One of the underlying causes of accident is lacking of training for employees. And that is correct and that is effective everywhere. Therefore, it is essential that employer provide well-timed, good quality, appropriate, and focused information. During those training, the trainer must be qualified trainer that will be able to pass information according to standard. And also, it's always good that the trainer also should be trained. And after finishing their training, there need to be an evaluation to see how effective the impact of the training has been. So, instruction and training for employees should be carried out in different interactive work. When we talk of training, it's not necessary to go and give them a literacy. No, training involves them in activity so that it will be interactive. Therefore, the benefit can include a reduction on ill health in the workplace, accident and ill health because of sickness, cost of accident and insurance, increasing of productivity, and the organization reputation is going to be well spoken of. Training should be given after someone has been appointed and when new employees are exposed to a new and increasing risk. Most of the time, people forget the first sight. For example, even though the person has been in the organization for many years and has been appointed to a new task, they forget to train him. He also deserves training. He must be trained. So please, again, each time you hear about training, be eager to undergo the training. Do not say, no, I have passed such training, is not my name. No, training is really important. When training has been completed, you need to evaluate the quality, as I said earlier. So the trainer also needs to be evaluated. So, method of training, 101 training. 101 training is the best training. When we talk 101 training, you have the trainer in front of you and you benefit directly through technical and effective way of training. Okay. Now we also have, this is called the formal way of training. We also have the informal way, learning from an experienced person at work. Please, those among us that are experienced people, never miss any opportunity to train people while working around with them, even while discussing with them. Share your experience with them. Do not necessarily wait when a proper training will be planned before you know. Share your experience with them. By doing this, you are helping yourself and you are helping your colleague. Always train them. Always and always use opportunity, seize the opportunity to train them. Have formal training by a qualified trainer. Most of the time, the company need to pay for a qualified trainer to come in. It even advise that from time to time, outside trainer will come together with the experienced trainer in the company so that they can train them. There should not pass a year whereby training should not be carried out. Now, during the induction course, the best time to give a general health and safety training is before the employees start working, and it can always prove to be effective. When the health and safety issue that should be covered must include fire safety. We all have benefited from fire safety throughout the course of John Phil, and everybody appreciates. This is one of the training. Emergency evacuation procedure. Now we can be able to know when to fight fire, when to call for help, or when to run away. But we said that it's always good to not to run away. Instead, we need to face things and rise above. Where to get the health and safety information, it need to be included. Accident and hazard reporting procedure and the organization health and safety policies also need to be included. First aid and facility. If proper training is organized, the employee will know, will have a clear mind where to go and what to do. Here, ladies and gentlemen, here we come to the end of our class, and I really believe that each one of us try to follow me. Thank you very much. So time for question. You want to go for question? You can unmute yourself. I really want to hear from you. Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was a little bit in trouble with my computer, working on other things, and I couldn't open the Zoom meeting again. Now, there was a question in the chat, and Mr. or Mrs. Taslim, I hope you will read course 104 again, because there is explained what safety policy is. We cannot make you a format or structure for your company, because every company is very personalized. We are teaching you here to make a company policy, safety policy that is specific for your company. Even in the same field of work, you cannot make a sample of manufacturing companies. You cannot give it, because every company has specific characteristics about it. So if you will read course 104, you will see that the policy should be described should describe the activities of the organization. I posted it in the chat. Again, the resources provided for health and safety, the health and safety management system, and the products and services involved in the organization. That is one specific organization. So we cannot do that. You have to do that.
Please, I do not understand the question. The question.
I'm sorry. He or she wants a sample of manufacturing companies for safety policy. That is not possible. I'm sorry. It's how do you call that? I just lost the word. I'm sorry. I'm not. I don't have my video on. Hold on. Yes, I'm completely not organized tonight. It's custom made for every company. You cannot give guidelines like also what Mr. Leon is speaking about, the certification. It are directions. It's not a guideline. It's not question, tick boxes. It's not that.
No.
You cannot do it. That's not possible. It's specific for every company. It is not possible to give you a list from you have to check this. Yeah, if you want a list, it can be very, very extended. Because as you saw, there are, I divided it like Belgium law in 7 fields. All of those fields have to be covered. So it's not possible to give you a guideline.
Okay, I get your point. You are right, Elsie. Your answer is right. Yeah. Also, it depends on the product being manufactured. For example, if it is cosmetic, if it is a cosmetic product, it's completely different from if it is an agro business or food manufacturing. Or meanwhile, as I said earlier, ISO 9001 gives some process that you can follow according to, and it's specific. As she said, you cannot find a matchbox that to say you do video. No, it's specific to your organization. Also, there are some parameters that you need to take into account. So we cannot give you an elaborated sample of manufacturing company safety policies. No, because it's not the same. It's true, we have some common points as far as safety is concerned, but what you are manufacturing also depends on the safety policies you need to carve out. Therefore, you need some consultants that need to work within you, right? So, let's thank you for your answer. I think somebody also has a question. Yeah, Mr. Ume. Mr. Ume, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Leon. It was a very elaborate presentation. So I thank you. Just that I was actually having issues with network, and it was really difficult for me here. So I actually missed out a thing or two. But before I go to that, I want to say that sometimes when an accident is being investigated in a company, depending on the company, some of the companies, it can actually become so bogus that everybody actually begins to try to hide away, because you really never can tell the direction the investigation is going. In fact, in some organizations, it begins to look like in fact the investigators are looking for a fall guy, somebody to point to put the blame on. So it's so much sometimes that people that ordinarily you expect that will report accidents willingly so that they can be documented, and it's not become a basis for learning from experience or learning from incidents, begin to run away to even report a near miss. It can be as bad as that. So in conditions like that, what are you supposed to do as a supervisor that wants your workers to freely report incidents? Because sometimes it actually look like you are hunting for somebody to put the blame on. In fact, sometimes people even fear that their jobs are even on the line. So it can be that serious. So as a supervisor, what are you actually supposed to do so that there can be a balance between, okay, well, somebody has to take the blame, but at the same time, you don't also have to discourage people from because once you turn the other way and you don't see it, they just say, look, my friend, just keep it away. You better not report it. Because if you report it, it can become so bogus. So it can be that serious. That's one. Two, I actually run out of network when you were talking about the 5 steps for carrying out risk assessment. I think I had identify the hazard. You know, I heard something about document, identify hazards. So I really didn't get the others. I would be grateful if you can please run through them again. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Who is going to give an answer to?
Normally you will get the slides, so
Yeah.
if you don't get the slides, please warn us. The secretariat should send it normally to all of you.
Okay, so just to quickly add, thank you very much. Just to quickly add, I don't know how to get into that Telegram platform. I don't know.
Did you receive my slides? Because the link is in there.
The link is in there, okay.
In my slides, the link is in the slides, the dark slides.
Oh.
So, Leon, you want students to answer first, right?
Yes, I want a student to answer the first question he asked about hiding, or about the supervisor being viewed as somebody that trying to hunt, you know. I want a student to answer from it, because what he said is exactly what always happens. Is the supervisor a person that looking for a way to blame his colleague or his worker? Or in fact, I want the student to answer such a question before we proceed. Now, I've put in the screen the 5 steps of carrying out risk assessment. Okay, yes, we have Engineer Ahmed. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. So what I want to say in case of somebody hiding such an action is, number one, unethical behavior is a problem generally. 2, an act of keeping one's job, even if it's not doing it the right way. 3, protecting the organization in a manner that at the end of the day will still portray them in a bad shape. Because in a situation you are hiding such things, when auditing comes, it also counts. Remember that most especially if it is in terms of vehicular accidents, these things are also being recorded. So it's a thing that people do generally, but still is lack of supervision and knowledge. And also the organizational structure needs to, if there is no provision in monitoring such acts, people can build it in as their also way of survival. But if from your, let's take an example from the organogram, you have a supervisor in charge of machines, and you drove out and came back crashed, and he knew that his job is also tied down not to allow such thing, you can now see that that can be controlled. But if you have a scenario where it's been left open, the next thing the organization to do, for them to not spend, they will keep hiding and be shifting the blame. They can even tell that person in charge that, say you did not do it. But in a nutshell, such act cannot take any organization anywhere. With time, it will catch up with them. That is the little contribution I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is not little. This is a very nice contribution. We really appreciate your input. Who else wants to contribute? Who else? If you want to contribute, you can raise up your hand. You know, it's really important, this point highlighted. Again, remember that when you are faithful, there is a statement that when you are faithful in small things, you can be faithful in bigger matter. You know, reporting does not make you a bad person. That is, reporting your own failure does not make you a bad person. Instead, it will make you a trustworthy person. Because once you report, you make work easy, both for the supervisor and you make work easy for everyone. The situation can be handled. But if you do not report and it has been discovered, you put everybody in an embarrassment. You see? So remember that safety work, we always keep on saying that safety work is a work of righteousness. Safety work is a work of, sorry, not wife. Safety work is a, is a work of clean conscience, you know. And failure to report will lead to a biased data and statistics and to compromise the whole chain. Therefore, do not fear. Do not fear that you'll be sacked or you'll be no. If you have the ability to report things, you will be more trusted than somebody that hides his own accident. You see. Thank you very much, Mr. Ume, for that very nice question. So once again, the slide will be sent to everybody. Just keep in touch with the Secretariat and everything gonna be all right.
Yes, I would like to add, this is exactly, again, this hiding accidents or incidents, occurrences where there wasn't an accident. I'm sorry, I forgot which person it was that was working in aviation, what he was telling about writing in the log and so on. If there are near misses, so incidents where there was no accident, it is important to write that down, because next time the person that is working at that station can be hurt or killed. Now, if you have a problem and you are hiding it from the management, like you are noticing that your skin is affected or your lung capacity is affected, and you're shutting shutting your mouth, don't tell the management that there is a problem. You go to the doctor, and the doctor may even ask you, do you come in contact with products or things like that? So then you are playing with your own life. Not only with your own life, but you're not protecting your colleagues from getting into the same health condition as you are. You know, it's important to report these things, and it is your job as an occupational health and safety professional to get through, to spark the minds of the employees working in the company. So if this practice of looking for somebody to blame, that's for insurances. Insurances need somebody. But normally, and I explained that, and I want to repeat that again, usually there are more than one cause of an accident. So you should not, as an professional, if you make your investigation of an accident, don't stop when you found one cause. Make sure you check all the possible causes before you decide it is that one cause, because that happens very rarely, that it's only one cause. It's only always more than one. It's somebody that didn't pay attention because somebody else is distracting him, or something else is distracting him, or he has personal problems at home and the supervisor didn't notice that his behavior was different. Those are all causes. It's not only one cause. Is a supervisor, as I said, also, those are two causes already. It's like when you're in traffic, you are in your car. If you have an accident and it isn't a pole where you park your car against, like I did 2 weeks ago, there are two persons in a collision. Huh? There are two drivers in a collision, which I had last week. So those were three drivers in a collision. So there is not just one cause to an accident.
Thank you.
You are with at least two persons. And then especially for Mr. Or Mrs. That asked in the chat, can I take over the screen for a moment? Then everybody can that can please take a screenshot. I once made a list of which is not limited, but can help you to get a direction. It is not limited to this. Remember, this is just a list of suggestions that you should take into account when you're making policies and so on. It is not limited to this list. It depends all on your company. If you're not working with chemical agents, well, every company has chemical agents in the company, because there probably is some cleaning material or some oil to make the shredder go, or some ink or something. So even in the kitchen, there are electrical appliances, maybe like a water boiler. There should be a user card for that. It should be registered, things like that. I hope this is long enough for everybody to take.
You are ahead of us.
Screen shot. Well, I'll leave it further up to you now, Mr. Leon. Maybe I shall leave this for a moment.
Yes. Nevertheless, during the course 109 on Wednesday, they're gonna pass through it again. I think it's course 109 from some Canada.
Just for your information, this is my addition. This is a list that I added, so you will not find it like this in the course.
No problem. So as the screen is there, let me use the opportunity to answer somebody's question. He said, who is the secretariat? Well, we discussed this evening with the secretariat before the course started. They're going to contact you because they have your registration mail, phone, and they a larger them and to send to each one of you via your mail. So if you haven't, they will contact you. Now you are asking, please, who is the secretariat? Contact the person through which you register for the course. Because I think he's among us. The secretariat member is among us here now. So do not worry, you will have because it's for your own use. But one thing is really important, the material, if you follow the course, it will help material, because you may have the slide and you just reading like a book, or following the explanation, because most of the things we said are not phrased exactly in the. Thank you very much for your concern. Thank you. Who else is asking?
I stop sharing the screen then now?
No, you can leave it as
yeah. I can
unless we have a question. Unless we have a question.
Yeah. My next question, are there any more questions, please?
There was a question left at the onset, or have you answered it?
Which one?
I think, well, when Mr. Frank asked a question, we were when it was time and I carry on my assignment.
What was that exactly?
Yeah. I remember asking the importance of this course in securing a job, but somebody gave a very well elaborated answer in the chat. First of all, I want to add, or not, but my wish is that you should not be jobless, whatever you are doing. But remember first that safety, if Even if nobody what you learn can help you a lot in creating your own job, because the answer from the chat said there is no aspect of life that safety, health, environment is not about. This course is what we call it transversal, you know, we call it transversal course. So, and some people, if you have a basic knowledge on those certificate, yeah, we have a hand up. Madam Osinashi, hand is up. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. Ion, for this broad knowledge you have given us tonight. I appreciate you, and I appreciate Madam Williams for all contributions. I want to contribute in the aspect of somebody that's asking what is the importance of job opportunity in respect of this course. Even if they are not employed in any company or in any institute, I think you can even make yourself a job opportunity yourself, even in the domain where you work. You can even create a job for yourself with this knowledge you are having here. You can create a job. For example, now, maybe in the case of your domain, there's a fire incident there. You can even take it upon yourself. Okay, if I tidy up this fire incident, how much can those people even give me? How much can they raise for me for you to rescue that situation? So about safety is for you and for your family and for everybody.
Recording
Whether
stopped.
you have a job or not, you don't have a job, I think it's necessary for you to be, with safety. I have safety awareness. Whether you are using it for you to create a job for yourself or to earn a living, I think is a broad knowledge for you and your family. Even alone is okay for that. Thank you.
I am such a fan of Miss Golden. I'm sorry, but she is fantastic. She has a fantastic brain, and she said some very useful things. I'm sorry I took over the microphone, Mr. Leon, but you can use some rest, I think. So she made a very, very interesting point. Now, about starting something yourself, even when you don't have a job, you can start being a consultant. We live in the 21st century. Everything is possible. Everything can be made into a job. You can start selling PPE, for example, which some of our members and trainers also do. And the additional thing of selling those PPE, you have the knowledge to give the people you are selling to give additional training. Not just sell this, but give additional training, which is a very good advertising scheme, don't you think? So because somebody's talking about NEBOSH, now NEBOSH is just like us. We certify internationally occupational health and safety people. But what we do is give additional value. And we explained that, we emphasized that several times already. Now, if you don't have a job, this diploma will give you access to, when they ask a job, when they have a vacancy and they need somebody, and they will ask for your diploma. And with that diploma, you get into the door, whether it is from our organization or from NEBOSH. Now, NEBOSH doesn't give this extra value. NEBOSH is not into leadership as we are. We give you extra value that you can put there. We want to create people who are passionate, like Miss Golden, for example. I love passionate people. There are some other students here that have shown very, very passionate. So, which makes me very happy, because we need that. You need to be that. You need to stand your ground as an occupational health and safety person. We breathe and live. We sleep, we wake up, and it's safety, safety, safety. As for people on the street behaving unsafe, I will say something. It's not limited to my workplace. If my friend is drunk and he wants to drive home with his car, I will stop him. This is health and safety. We breathe and live this. So the diploma will get you in the door. The passion will get you the job, because there will be 20 applicants with certificates of NEBOSH or OSHAssociation UK or any other body that delivers this diploma. But we teach people passion. We want to give that. We hope it rubs off on you. We give people guidance also. You can still reach us. We will guide you to make sure you get through the exams, for example. With NEBOSH, you will do the exams. If you didn't pass, you will have to do everything again and pay again. That's not how we do that. I don't think that Mr. Emmanuel is here to explain. He can explain that much, much better than I can. So, but this is what we do. And if you already have a job, you have seen, you have felt, I'm sure, I don't know if you're in denial, but you have felt that it will improve your job in many, many manners. Not only improve your life, improve the atmosphere at work, improve the production of the company, improve the image as a company you have, as a person you have towards the outside world, as a caring person and so on. So yeah, there are a lot of advantages on the job market. And as you know, with COVID-19, they all got fixated now on the health and safety, and it will become even stronger and stronger and stronger desire for everybody in the world to have health and safety. I can tell that in Belgium, for example, every company has to have a prevention advisor. Every company by law has to have a prevention advisor. Even when you're one person entrepreneur, you have a business as an entrepreneur and you are the only one working, you have to have a safety policy and so on. So if this is in Western world, if this is in Europe, we are the leader of making laws and so on. The whole world has to follow us. We have the strictest rules anywhere, the European Union. America doesn't have strict rules like we do, like environment and so on. The world will have to follow. So I'm sure that also in Africa, in America and so on, they will have to follow. They will need health and safety people everywhere. So this is the future, ladies and gentlemen. People start to care more and more about self-care and their own life quality and so on. And that is why you are doing a very wise thing to join us. So I hope that answers your question completely. And as I said, you can be a consultant. You can offer your services to make assessments in companies, to go around and ask people, will we check, I offer my services to check if your company is abiding or is complying with everything that is in the local law. In your sector, you can make it a niche. I do only food sectors, or I do only chemical sectors, whatever your specialization is that you already have, and you become a consultant in that. We have a project with sports, for example, sports facilities. So, I mean, there are so many options. You need, even if you are standing still, you have hazards. You have hazards of body stress while you are standing too long, maybe. You have a hazard of the room you are standing in. The ceiling can come down. The walls can come down. The floor can collapse. there can be piping in the room, and there can be a leak, and so on. Everything. Even when you lie down, there are risks. We need safety for everything, and we live in a creative age. So make use of your expertise, and create a job, as Miss Golden said. Again, Miss Golden, I admire your brain. It's fantastic. Please keep the good work up.
I'm sorry, I was off suddenly without knowing. So I thought
Yeah,
it was
I will stop sharing screen and make you a host again if you're not already.
No problem. No, you can just leave me like this. But I don't know the question that have been discussed because my network just off.
Yeah, I saw that you came back in. So I was answering the question again because Ms. Golden made a contribution to what this means, this course, what this means in the professional world. So she made some very good remarks, and I went on it again. I'm sorry. You meanwhile understand, everybody meanwhile understands that I'm a very passionate being. I go for everything 100%. That's so if I start talking, I don't stop. I can talk forever.
One of the points I appreciate in your comment is that today in the market, there is a large demand of consultants.
That was the remark that Ms. Shinashi gave. Huh?
Yes. There is a large demand of consultants in everything. For example, sometimes I receive offer that I cannot be able to face it for commitment. There are large demands, So safety, quality, health, environment is unavoidable. Honestly, it's unavoidable. Now, they go hand in hand with standard, as I always said. That's why I love standard. There are a lot of demands because we need to improve our living quality. We need to improve our living, but as you have said, Europe is a number one. Europe is number one in safety, safety procedure. So it's going to be useful because first, use yourself, you're going to benefit first. Then when there are a lot of demands, you always fit in. So thank you, everyone. I believe you have spent a lot of time.
Leon, can you help me remind me that when Mr. Emmanuel is in the room, he can do the full explanation of NEBOSH and so on, because somebody else.
He's not in the room.
Mr. Emmanuel, no, I don't see him. But okay. That's okay. We'll answer that. We'll let him answer that because he can explain.
Well, after the exam, we normally have what we call a business meeting. Last batch we didn't have because there was a general breakup in the network. I could remember in the whole West Africa because there was a section on the underwater wires, optic wire, yes. Fiber. We call it underwater fiber that caused loss of internet for almost 2 days. So the previous batch, we did not have a business meeting. Business meeting help us to see the opportunity open up, the room available for us by focusing on this course. So I believe by the end of this masterclass, we always have it on Sunday or Monday, a designated day. That you people will be announced, then you come for a business meeting. We give you all the opportunity, the doors open up for you for this course. So do not think that you waste your time. And I remember a testimony from a man that was from previous bar. You remember very well, he was dealing with electrical. His name escaped me. While we were doing the course, he said that he has a small boy apprentice that want to learn from him. First of all, he improved his way of carrying out his electrical business, and people notice it. He wants somewhere to implement what he was learning from here. I forget his name. His name escaped me.
His name I don't know anymore, but he was an electrician.
Yes, yes. And you really interacted with him. So we have a lot of opportunity. But if everything works out, well, we're going to have the business meeting after the exam is over, because you are going to have your exam on Saturday. Have engineer Hafiz among us on Sunday, on Friday. On Friday during the general meeting, because Friday is going to be the revision day. Then engineer Hafiz will tell us about the exam. We have prepared everything well. We talk about them. Then after that, there will be a business meeting after exam has passed. Then we brief together. There are going to be a presentation. The opportunity opens up for each one of us. Okay. Yeah, we have a hand, Madam Delight Nelson.
She for his phone, just now she's wonderful this lecture from your side.
Somebody said that else should not get funny.
And
we are
but not so good. You have, but you're all there, and normally these are lucky. Starts it's going good, and no forward. It's said hope things will go right. Like this week, also we'll have good, and hopefully we can finish things. And also, I'm sure they will be performing very well as they are, because they are very effective, interested in the course. They are taking interest. Though I, frankly speaking, the duration 2.5 hours, 2 hours like that, it is very difficult to maintain the psychologically as well. It is difficult to retain retention. So hopefully it will go well. And thank you everybody. I guess Mr. Leon, we are nearly done, right? No, we.
I think we have okay, she's off. Madam Janet, the janitor of the crash, is off. But meanwhile, we really appreciate those of you that stayed.
Yeah.
Okay, Madam Osina, she's raising up her hand.
Mr. Leon, I want to ask a question. There's a question in the chat box. Are you hearing what I'm saying?
Yes.
But there's a question in the chat box. Is it while the answer is not given? Is it because Engineer Emmanuel is not around? Because somebody said he went for an interview in oil and gas industry, and they were asking him of NABOSH certificate. So he's trying to like compare and contrast. What is the difference between NABOSH and OSHAssociation, something like that? What is the difference? Does it mean that he have to obtain that certificate before he can be employed? So does it mean that OSH doesn't have high rank like NABOSH? I think that's the question the person is asking. So if we go out without giving the person the answer, is not looking so fine. Please, can we just find a way of delivering the answer to that person? Thank you.
I'm trying to check the question, but because I preload, that's why I didn't see the question. But this is not a problem. NABOSH and OSH, what is the difference between them? So the person must know the difference between NABOSH and OSHA course. What is NABOSH? What is OSH? When the person comes to know the difference, it will help him to find answer to his question. By extension, what is the meaning of NEBOSH? In NEBOSH, we have, is the person around?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. The person is still around.
I was saying that the person must know the difference between
I'm still around, sir.
Aha. Okay, Mr. Gayos. Do you know the difference between NEBOSH and the program we are running?
Sir, as I learned so well that NEBOSH are really into oil and gas, while the program you guys are running has
NEBOSH is a complete program like OSH. Both NEBOSH and OSH are occupational health and safety program. All of them turn around occupational health and safety, right? Now we have different types. We have training on oil and gas. We have training on what we call it, space, naval space, aeronautic. All of them are occupational health and safety program. Only NEBOSH is a national British occupational health, national British occupational health and safety, right? But all of them are based on the same curriculum. NEBOSH is a national recognized exam. It's like when you people have WAEC, you have WAEC in Nigeria, right? But you know the same WAEC in Ghana is not called WAEC. I'm not sure. Because here, the same WAEC is not called, but it has its own name. Nevertheless, it's the same criteria. Because we are running and NEBOSH is still on the same basis, the same curriculum. Now that person might be specialized in oil and gas in different things. So NEBOSH is not necessary for oil and gas, but it's about occupational health and safety as well. But it's the national denomination of the title. Hope you are following me. Hello?
Sir.
I think we can,
yes, sir.
still hear you.
I'm hearing you, sir.
So you get the point.
Yes, sir.
So if you bring a certificate, any OSH certificate with oil and gas as a specialty, they will still accept you. You get the point?
Yes, sir.
Yes. All of them have the same curriculum. In OSH, we have a lot of, here is the general, here is the basic. That's why we always encourage students that after the basic, if they have opportunity, they should further their education in health and safety by choosing the specialties. Oil and gas, mining, we also have aeronautic, wireless engineering. Still, all of them have the same root, occupational health and safety. Once you choose your specialty, the technical aspect will be only for oil and gas sector. But the root is, all of them have the same root, the same program we are teaching here, which also is teaching the same. The difference is that it's the criteria of examination and the criteria of, I'm looking for one word. The difference is that for somebody that passed a NEBOSH exam and somebody that passed OSH, they do the same thing. If we choose oil and gas and we follow OSH program and somebody choose oil and gas follow NEBOSH program, it's the same thing you're gonna study. So this is what I can tell you. But nevertheless, at the end of this activity, not today, when we finish, going to arrange to have a business meeting whereby all those opportunities are clearly stated. So I don't know if Hafiz, engineer Hafiz have.
Okay.
I don't know if Hafiz, engineer Hafiz have.
Yeah, Leo. Yeah, I'm Sales back. Yes, some on that I'd like to add. Basically, you know, we can understand it like Disney OSHA thing. That you know, we have OSHA from US as well. You know, sometimes we have definitely things they are different sometimes. For example, in Nigeria, there are not only you know University of Lagos, there are other university as well. University of Ibadan or means whatever you know. So what happens due to some different circumstances? Some universities, some things they due to their time, age. You understand my point? The managerial and you know the other facilities like the faculty or uh, you can say the degree programs, the quantity of degree programs, the staff, and you can say the building even. You know, when they do the ranking for the universities and the stuff, they consider different aspects, which even include the building structure, infrastructure, laboratories, the faculties, and the stuff. So, point is that definitely things differ for different reasons as well. And this is actually at the moment, no, it was like monopolistic thing that yeah, definitely around 2070 they started Bush and then they concentrated, you know, as a nation, at a national level. At that moment, all the British UK government they focused and they brought up an institute and then means they started Bush. But equally to like if there is University of Lagos there and you have a degree and if you have performed well, you have understood this subject matter and definitely in Lagos University, there are not all the doctors, PhD staff who are also the alumni of that same very university. Even the people from remote areas who performed well, who did things well, they got the degrees from there. They are also now an important part of again that university. So this is the matter. Actually, in this professional training programs, it is not like we can means because something that becomes the industry standards. But you look around yourself, I will give you an example. If you come to uh, now means 5-10 years ago, 10 years like that ago, if you come to Middle East, you cannot find any thing rated plus plus that is from Europe. You go for an American even candy chocolate, and they will rate it higher than that of the European very best products. So in now in the market there are European products, right? And now it is the competition, right? And matter of knowing things, understanding things, that is the thing. Before they were having a Bosch, everybody of us, but now you see around yourself in Nigeria, how many people you know, and they know the OSHAssociation UK now, the government, they know because why they know it? Because this also got the potential. It is also all about training the people for safety, developing their knowledge about safety and grooming them to be safe humans for themselves, for everybody, for workplaces, for governments, for societies. So definitely same is true with Nibosh and other stuff, but nobody will say you, yeah, means in some areas, some places, because stereotyping is something, you know, that will exist everywhere in the world. So it is the case. But we are doing very well, and it is matter of how much you grasp the knowledge. You go for negotiation exam and you cannot have the knowledge, then later on you will not be successful. But if you are having a safety certification with OSHA Association UK and you know your job well, you know what you are saying, you know what you are doing, then definitely it will make worth. And you guys, when you get trained, you will go to industry, the people will know, and people have know it that yeah, safety also come from OSHA Association UK, and they are preparing the people who are safe minded and who do the safety thing. So for me, it is like that to have different universities in same countries with some ranking due to some different factors. So everything is growing by the time, and I assure you, the way you guys have made progress there, you go with us with the OSHA Association UK and you grasp the knowledge, and definitely you will have a very successful career in safety as well. When you will be a good safety professional, people will know your worth and they will believe, yeah, you know the safety instead of asking you for an abortion, all this stuff. At the moment, sometimes, yeah, some way, but things are changing, and now the means training is coming from many institutes, so it will be fine very soon. Thank you. This is my input, Miss. As she is back again, and I think now people they have left because people have things to do, right? They have commitments. So I think it's all for today. Thank you very much, Mr. Leon. Thank you all delegates for having very great questions.
We take everyone that states in the end. Thank you very much. Network is not. Take everybody. We take everyone that states in the end. Thank you very much. Network is not somehow strong for you. Thank you very much for your explanation. I believe Mr. James has got answer to his question. One thing is that you will not lack opportunity. You will not lack opportunity in health and safety. QHS is you will not lack opportunity. Because it's around us. Our life evolves around safety, quality, environment, health. Thank you very much, everyone that stayed. Mr. Francis Ume, thank you for your contribution. Madam Olasimbo Agim, thank you. Engineer Ahmed, thank you. James Chaos, Mr. I don't know if it is a man or Mr. or Madam Alako Lucky. Thank you very much. And our contributor, Golden Nation. Thank you very much also for your question. And tomorrow we're gonna start with course 106. So try to be on time, and now everybody has gone. You can unmute yourself and we say hi, good night. Those who drive, take care. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care of yourself. Tomorrow we're gonna meet. Thank you. It has been. Bye bye. Engineer Fit, I think you are the one to close the meeting because you are the co-host. You are the host. So you yeah, good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Take care of yourself. Tomorrow we're gonna meet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Engineer Fit, I think you are the one to close the meeting because you are the co-host. You are the host.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. See you.
Yeah, good night.
Yes. Bye.
End the meeting from you.